I'm again starting a video without knowing what I'm going to title it. I feel like it's going to be like the power of positive thinking or like naive optimism. I don't know yet, but that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm going to be talking about. And again, just kind of going right into it. I feel like the conversations and rants and things that I'm doing lately are really like unfocused and branch off into more than one area, where sometimes before they were like very focused on one thing. Yeah, anyway. This is all coming about because of not having a job yet, not having like a position yet with a school, with teaching. So, unfortunately, I have to be like a grumpy old curmudgeon about it. Um, Not as much as I used to be, and I guess that's part of why I want to have the conversation. It, it still annoys me a bit when some people are like, "Oh, don't worry, everything will work out. It'll be fine." Like, no, it won't. Like, I've often, and for a long time called myself a realist because I believe that's what I am. I believe that describes me perfectly. That I don't really feel pessimistic. I definitely I feel more pessimistic than optimistic for sure, because I feel like that kind of fits a little more into realism. I think a lot of optimism or optimists or self-proclaimed optimists or whatever tend to ignore a lot of reality and a lot of logic and reasoning and even statistics, and just kind of be like, "Oh, it'll be fine." And it's like that's not like that's not really it. Like, that's not how it works. Like, maybe it will be fine, and unfortunately, a lot of the time people are like, "Oh, it'll be like," I don't know. I feel like I'm branching off right away already, because with some people it's like, yeah, everything's gonna be fine, because like there's some people I know that fit in more of a nihilistic realm, and it's like, yeah, everything's gonna be fine because nothing matters. Like, everything's fine all the time because this whole thing, this whole everything is nothing. Like, you don't matter, it doesn't matter, no one matters, nothing matters, so of course it's fine. That's not really what we're talking about, but like, that's a thing, and like some optimists are like, "Oh yeah, everything will be fine because that's the way it was supposed to work out, ha 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 ha." And it's like, this kind of fits into the thing of like being like ignorance is bliss. Like, if I if I was there in that space and felt again, I've mentioned this before through videos, like I would rather be like smart and neurotic and smart and like sad, I don't know, and like anxious in a way. But there are definitely times where I'm like, man, like it would be really nice to just be like, yeah, everything's gonna work out, that's fine, like, and not think about all the possibilities of how it couldn't work out. Part of that is just like, I don't know, there is a healthy way to be optimistic, I'm sure of it. A lot of people say that being pessimistic is really unhealthy, but they don't think of like, oh yeah, well, being an optimist is always healthy. That's always the healthiest thing, and I really don't think it is, because some people just take that too far. They don't plan enough. They don't think enough or do enough critical thinking, because they just leave it up to whatever, to be like, oh yeah, of course it'll work out, because it always works out. Everything will work out. It'll work out the way it's supposed to be, and they don't do enough of their own work, like make your own luck type thing. Um, yeah, but like I said, this has come along because of just like teaching opportunities or lack thereof, and like I don't know what's going on yet. I've applied. I've done really like almost as much as I can do on my end within Alberta, Saskatchewan, and BC. I don't have my certificate for BC yet, so and I'm not gonna get it anytime soon. It's gonna take months and months, and like I like that would open up a lot more doors and a lot more opportunities if I had the certificate. I just like I'm tired. I'm feeling exhausted again. I'm feeling more anxious again because I'm like I don't have what I need, and like I'm trying not to like let it consume me. And just week after week, I'm like, oh wow, the school year's ending soon. That means summer is gonna start soon. Like, a lot of these jobs have been posted already and hired for, and there's not very many out there that are applicable to me. And I have yet to even have an interview or a phone call for the very few jobs that are available. Like, I mean, things like Calgary and Edmonton, like, I don't even, like, I'm not even in their school district yet. Like, Edmonton is still pushing my paperwork through, and, like, I haven't gotten any response there yet. So, anyway, I'm getting into specifics too much. the thing is that just like it still does annoy me and bother me when people are just like, "Oh, it'll be fine." Like I'm sure it'll be fine, and it's like maybe you're right. And unfortunately, when you are right, it just enables you to keep having that attitude. But that attitude doesn't rub off on me very well because I can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of ways it couldn't there's a lot of ways it could go wrong. There's a lot of ways that it's not going to happen. That I am so open to very many to so many opportunities right now, and it's still not happening. It doesn't mean it won't happen, but I've kind of done so much of what I can do, and am still doing stuff, and I don't know. It's just some people is like, okay, it'll just be fine. I'm like, look at this is my life, and if it was your life, maybe you'd be panicking a little more. Maybe you'd be a little more stressed. Maybe you'd be more anxious. Maybe you wouldn't, because maybe you have a safety net. Maybe it's because you're younger. Maybe it's because there's so many things, right? And I'm like, I'm 33 years old now, and I'm just trying to start my teaching career. Or I tried to start it 2 years ago when I moved here. I still don't have a permanent position. Or I don't know. I don't. I'm just so I don't want to be just on the road all the time. I don't want to be just moving here and moving there, trying to chase down temporary contracts. And I've applied to some of those too because I'm like, if that's what I need to do, hey, this thing in Rosetown, that's for a year. I thought I had a good shot at it, never got a call back for it, and it was a job that I actually wanted. So it's cool, that's fun. And I don't know, it just gets stressful too because I'm like, whatever. Summer's coming up. I don't have anything lined up. It's just I don't know, the optimism thing. Like I said, I don't know. Part of me wanted to work through that because I'm like, there's got to be a healthy way to be optimistic and to hope for the best, but also I don't know, or there's got to be I feel like my realism isn't that healthy. Put it that way, because that's why maybe a lot of people interpret it as pessimism. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I see all of it. Seeing the good is so easy. Seeing the optimism, seeing yeah, it could work out. That's only one thing. Yes, it could work out. You don't see the hundreds of ways that it could work out because you don't care. It's working out is the thing. Whereas not working out means yeah, maybe because this person didn't get their stuff in on time, because this person screwed up my paperwork, or they just don't want to hire me, or they already hired this other teacher, or this and that. There's hundreds of ways, and that's what my mind goes to. It thinks of all the things that should have happened, or could have happened, or didn't happen that should have happened, whatever, right? So I don't know. That it doesn't the thing of it working out is just one thing. It's yeah, it worked out, or and it not working out. There's a bunch of different ways it could not work out, and my mind recognizes those. And yeah, I don't know. So there's got to be a way to be optimistic and healthy, or realistic and healthy. A realism, I think, is seeing everything and understanding it, and there's got to be a way to still be hopeful, I guess. And I don't know. I just feel stuck. I feel super stuck because I know the work that I've put into it. I know that I have to rely on a bunch of other people now, and that's not great, especially with the track record of some of the people that I'm relying on, for references and for documents and things like that. So I don't know. I don't know. This is going off the rails already, but not in a fun way. I don't know. I would like to hear your thoughts on the whole thing, on optimism, pessimism, realism, which things, I don't know, there's probably there is an unhealthy way to do all those things, and a healthy way to probably do all those things, or maybe being a pessimist or an optimist, neither of those things are ever healthy, and maybe that's why realism is the thing I gravitate towards, because to me it seems the thing that's the healthiest thing, of being yes, let's recognize all the possibilities, and understand that these are the things that could happen, and statistically or logically there are these other things that whatever, and why would we I sometimes feel optimists are yeah, but miracles happen, that's they kind of say that without saying it. It's yeah, but it could work out, it'll be fine. And then if we take the attitude, which I kind of hinted at earlier, yeah, it'll be fine because you're fine. If when I think back to anxiety stuff, it's you're fine, what's the problem right now? I'm living, I'm breathing, I have food in the fridge, I can pay my rent, whatever, everything's kind of fine, right? But until it won't be fine, because I think too far ahead, and then I'm yeah, but I'm on EI right now, and I'm subbing is gonna stop pretty quick, and like then I'll just be relying on EI, and then at a certain point I can't rely on EI because I won't have that available to me, and then what if I'm not working by then? And then I was like, oh, I gotta take like some crappy menial job. I'll be working at McDonald's, and like all this stuff just flows through my head. So like, yeah, I just I don't know. It started off like I said but sometimes I just get annoyed when people just like, oh, everything's gonna work out. Trust me. I'm like, what do you mean trust you? Who are you? Do you have control over my situation? Like, is there something I don't know? Like, what do you mean trust you? Everything's gonna work out. Who are you? You have no power over the situation at all. And then it comes into the thing of like the power of positive thinking, or let's like put it out into the universe, and and then magical things will happen. Like, there's some truth to I think like the power of positive thinking or the power of positive energy. Like I don't know, like but it's all just a. I think the truth in it is just a placebo that like I'm convincing myself that everything will be fine by not getting anxious about things and just being like yeah whatever will happen. Like it's one of those things like I hate the phrase it is what it is, like things like that. I'm like oh whatever will be will be. Like what does it mean? You do have some control, and the things you don't have control over. It's really hard for me to cope with that. It's just hard for me to cope with like whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. Like what if what's supposed to happen is like I get into a horrible accident tomorrow and like break all my legs, all my limbs. Like you know what I mean? Like that's not. If I recognize that as a possibility and I fixate on it, which I wouldn't because it seems like statistically really low chance of that happening, um, then I don't think about it. But it's a possibility. I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. I just I don't know. I don't know, the optimism thing again. It's just like playing with all these things. Like I said, I used to get way more upset about it. I used to get like way more grumpy about it when people just like said like, "Oh no, it'll be fine, just whatever." I'm like, no, not whatever. You can't just say that to people and assume like when you're not living in that situation, especially, you can't just brush it off and be like, "Oh no, it'll be fine." It's like don't brush off my anxiety or my worries when there are legitimate concerns there, like legitimate things that upset me, legitimate things that frustrate me, that hurt me, that or whatever. You know what I mean? Like recognize my feelings, legitimize my feelings. Don't just brush it off and be like, oh, it's gonna be fine. Like I'm sure everything will be okay. I'm like, no, no, you don't. You don't know anything. Like there's got to be a better way to say it, and a better way to think it, and a better way to feel it. And it's just really difficult for me and other people like me. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to take that step into like the more pessimistic end of realism and get to the more at least optimistic part of realism, if not optimism in itself. Because like I said, I know that there's a way to do that and be healthy. I don't really have much of a model for that, or maybe it's just because anytime I see it, it just seems so trite and seems so like naive. I don't know. I don't know. This is like the lamest conversation ever. I feel like I didn't figure anything out at all.